Where are we as a country? In my opinion, that's a very important question. It is very important that one understands at all times where they are. You know, one day, not too long ago, I did a road trip with my family across most of Tanzania. Very beautiful country. It was quite an experience. And looking back, I can see it was a kind of farewell thing for my late wife. Yeah, we still remember it fondly, even after she's gone. Anyway, during that trip, we relied on technology, the smartphone, to tell us exactly where we were during that road trip. And of course, that made things very easy, very reassuring. When you're in a strange road, you have never been on it before, but thanks to technology, you know precisely where you are and you know where you're going. That is what my show is about today. Where we are right now and the possible places it could be taking us to. Not very reassuring in this case, but the reality, the political reality. Now please remember to give me a like if you're already enjoying this video. There's much more to come, much more juicy stuff you can look forward to. But meanwhile, give me a like if you're enjoying the ride so far, and I'll be so grateful because it'll help me increase the reach of this particular video. Now there's a very major event about to unfold in the country called Kenya. All indications are that it'll happen. Find out what it is in my latest weekly intelligence briefings, number 89. I believe you can see details on your screens right now. Yes, that off was supposed to have ended last night, and now it will end at any time. But please rush and take advantage of it before it comes to a close. Now, the response to my documentary or collection of videos titled "Copy Your Way to Money and Success" has been absolutely amazing. And I'm grateful. You know, there is nothing that gives me joy more than I realize that I can actually feel what Kenyans are feeling. That the vast majority of people have this and that problem, and that using a video too, I can help solve that problem. There is no happier feeling for me. And of course, we're in hard times, but there's some people who are doing okay. And this particular set of videos gives you a very good idea of a way forward. It doesn't matter if you're down and out completely, you've lost a job, your business has collapsed, doesn't matter. With enough information and knowledge, you can find a way out, and you can actually discover the opportunities that present themselves, very many of them, when an economy is going through what we're going through right now. Now you'll find the link to that documentary in the description area below. It is also repeated for those who are watching this on TV or on a laptop. It is also repeated at the very end of the video on the top right hand corner. And of course, it is completely free. A lot of information for free. So go for it. And in case you still can't see it, you can drop me an email. You can see my email address on your screens right now. Drop me an email with the words "Copy yourself to money" in the subject area, and then I'll immediately respond, or I'll respond as quickly as I can, giving you the link to this very valuable information. Right, folks, twende kazi. For those who want to look much more deeply at the state of the nation of Kenya, the verdict is things are not good. And indeed, the country is in a very shaky position. Let's break that down. There is no doubt whatsoever that there is increasing pressure on President William Ruto to fulfill the lofty promises, campaign promises, he made during campaigns. Reduction of the price of maize flour, the staple for Kenyans. Reductions of the price of petrol, etc., etc. Indeed, the UDA narrative was that the problem was the handshake. But now it is over a month. The handshake is gone. The narrative of UDA was that Uhuru Kenyatta was the problem. Uhuru Kenyatta is now gone, out of office. So why are things not changing? That is the view of the vast majority of Kenyans. And even more fascinating is the fact that Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president, keeps on talking about Uhuru Kenyatta. Long after the campaigns, a month after they've been installed in office, Uhuru Kenyatta appears to be still the excuse. And meanwhile, Kenyans continue to be pushed into a wall, into a corner, with no way out. Now, isn't that a deadly, very dangerous situation? Indeed, there are those who say that Ruto's government is right now playing the game of government one day at a time. Survival government. To understand what I'm trying to say much more clearer, imagine the situation of a company that employs hundreds of people. Yeah? And this company is going through financial problems. Now the management of that company is forced to manage one day at a time. So today there's this crisis, you get very busy putting out that fire, or you get very busy responding to that, and then tomorrow you'll be responding to something else. Next week, you'll be responding to something else brand new. But all these problems will be linked to your core issue, which is lack of cash. That is how the Ruto government is operating. Now, let me prove to you what I'm trying to say. One of the characteristics of a government that operates the way the Ruto government operates is that you can get very confused. And I'll give you the latest example. One of the first things we were told by the Ruto administration was that fuel subsidies were not sustainable, and therefore the government was going to withdraw them. Now, of course, the people who put the fuel subsidies there were not mad, the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. The whole idea was to cushion Kenyans against high fuel prices. And the whole idea here is not to have a sustainable fuel subsidy. No. The idea is to cushion Kenyans so that Kenyans can breathe and try and kickstart the economy and get things going. So that somewhere down the road, you will no longer need the fuel subsidies, the money that the government pumps in to keep the prices low. The issue of sustainability, in my view, does not ever arise. Anyway, that was the policy decision of the Ruto government. And then Raila Odinga, in his Meet the People tour, told Kenyans that they should expect fuel prices to go up again, which was inevitable based on the circumstances and based on the announced policy of the Ruto government. But then what happened? On the 14th, 15th of this month, that's the time fuel prices are normally revised upwards or downwards. What happened is that the price of fuel went down by 1 Kenya shilling. Now, don't waste time or your breath trying to convince me that this was not political and that this was not to prove Raila Odinga wrong. Because Raila Odinga said the price would go up, the price went down. Okay, only by a shilling. But it went down. Bottom line, Raila was wrong. What? And that narrative of Raila being wrong, you can take it and run very far away with it. For instance, you can say, Raila was wrong. Therefore, he has always been wrong. He was also wrong about winning the election. He was wrong about the election being fiddled with. Raila is wrong. Raila lost. Raila has always been wrong. Raila always loses. Etc., etc. I'm sure you get my drift. Now, with my little understanding, maybe it is possible to run a small homestead that way. Maybe it's possible, I don't know. But it is not possible to run a government like that and get away with it. Not possible. You know, the word on the street, the way Kenyans are talking, they are saying that Uhuru's administration was much better. The handshake government was much better than what we have now. That's what ordinary folks are saying. And as an analyst, what people are saying are a very important signal that will give you an idea of what the mood of the country is. And the way to fix the mood of the country, when you know that you won the elections, but you don't have the vast majority of Kenyans behind you, the majority are against you. One of the ways to try and fix this is with appointments. You make appointments that please the people, as opposed to appointments that please you and suit you as the leader. That way you get people very excited about your appointments. You get people hopeful that with those appointments you have announced, things will get better. This is a very effective tactic that was used once by the second president of Kenya, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. In the 90s, Moi made one appointment amongst many that eased the pressure on his government. But one appointment, one appointment was the Kshs Mandeno appointment. Moi appointed Dr. Liki as head of the civil service. A Mzungu, a very efficient Mzungu with a great reputation, impeccable CV, well loved by Kenyans. And at that time, shortly after that appointment, you could feel the pressure easing away from the KANU government. You could feel it literally, like a balloon that has been punctured and is losing air fast. You could feel that in the country. The appointments of President Ruto have been very far from being inspiring. He has selected his closest allies, many of them from his home province, many of them who played a key role in his strategy to get elected. Indeed, Ruto's successful strategy to get elected. Or shall I say, to become president. Because if you use the word elected, it is very debatable. Very, very debatable. I'm sure you know what I mean. So Ruto appointments have not been inspiring. Ruto moves have not been inspiring. There's only one move since he came into office that has excited Kenyans. And that is the move to transfer the port back to where it belongs, in Mombasa. And what the president should have done would have been to build up on that particular decision which excited Kenyans. Build up on it with other inspiring decisions consistently. And then things in Kenya may have been very different from what they are today. I can hear somebody telling me, Chris, you've forgotten fertilizer prices. They have gone down. My response to that, tafadhali, don't even go there. Why? Because this fertilizer manenos may be the first scandal of the Ruto administration. Let me explain. It is in the public domain that the government of Russia, Bwana Putin, gave the Kenyan government a donation of fertilizer, free of charge, bila malipo. And then when the fertilizer arrived in Kenya, it was distributed to farmers at a price of 3,500. And then the narrative that came out of State House, you see, we have already brought the fertilizer prices down from 6,000 and something to 3,500. You see, we are doing well. What? You know, I dare add, and this is very worrying, it seems that the Ruto administration is being run in exactly the same way as the Ruto campaign was being run. How is the Ruto campaign being run? There's a lot of money and time being spent on perception activities. Activities and moves not designed to earn more votes for Ruto, not designed to get more votes for Ruto, but primarily designed to project a certain image, to magically raise perception value. Yeah, the idea that Ruto is very popular, there was a lot of money and time being spent on that. Instead of that time and money going into actual hard work to win votes on the ground. Now as a government, it appears that the same thing is happening. A lot of time and money is being spent on perception rather than on doing real work that will benefit Kenyans. And the fertilizer story is the perfect example. You get a donation of fertilizer, and instead of distributing it to farmers for free, you can't resist the temptation of creating the perception, false perception, that prices of fertilizer have actually dramatically gone down overnight to only 3,500. Now let's just assume for now that that 3,500 is going straight to government coffers and not somebody's pocket. Because if that money is going into somebody's pocket, as I said earlier, that is the first scandal of the Ruto administration. First corruption scandal. Munapewa bure na nyinyi munauza. Okay? But as I've said, for now, let us give the Ruto administration the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, although many of you will not agree. I know. Yeah, because when you give somebody the benefit of doubt, you look into their character and how they've behaved in the past. But for now, tuliza boli. Let's assume that that money is going to government coffers. Already, that is an example of a government trying very hard to work on perception instead of working on actual things that can help Kenyans move forward, do better, get out of the rut we are in as a country. And it is because of all this that some analysts have started saying that they don't see the Ruto administration lasting for long, especially with Baba breathing down its neck, having public meetings, meeting border riders, etc., etc. The enigma is busy, and therefore because Raila is busy, and because Kenyans have reached a point of suffering where they have never been to before, then chances of the Ruto administration lasting for long are minimal. That's what some analysts are saying. But what is Kshs Kumekucha saying? My opinion, it is still too early. I don't have an opinion yet on that matter. Give me another month or so, and I'll be able to confidently give an opinion. Because my experience tells me that it is possible for a government in trouble to limp along for a very long time. Indeed, to limp along until the next general elections. That has happened before. But hey, I'm not saying that will happen in this case. No, I'm just saying give me 30 more days. After that, I'll be able to say something with confidence. Not now. But there's something else of much greater concern, a crisis brewing, that I want to bring up. And that is the Al-Shabaab. Now, these terror attacks have been known to build up to a crazy rate of about 50 a month. But in the few months leading up to our last general elections, these attacks subsided considerably, to very, very few. But now, they're on the rise again. In just the last 2 weeks, there have been 4 major attacks, carried out in Mandera and other areas of that part of Kenya that the colonialists used to call the Northern Frontier District. And some of these attacks have even reached Lamu, which is at the coast. Now, it is important to note that there's been a pattern here. Because what seems to be happening is that whenever a new administration takes over, there is a dramatic increase in attacks, possibly to get the new administration to back off, get our troops out of Somalia. You will remember when the Ruto administration took over in 2013, the same thing as what is happening now emerged, and these attacks culminated in the infamous Westgate attack. Ruto took over in March of 2013, and the attack started building up almost immediately and culminated in the September Westgate incident that shocked the world. Remember that? Where over 70 souls left us. Now, from here going forward, the information is super sensitive. And you can find it in my latest weekly intelligence briefings, number 89. Because there's something we should expect very soon. And there's a very shocking reason why we should expect it. Something that'll something that'll stir, if I can use the Swahili word, most of us totally unexpected. But the evidence is there. Even in 2013 we saw the same thing. So please take full advantage of my latest offer on my weekly intelligence briefings. You can see details on your screens right now. An amazing offer that's supposed to have ended last night. But now will end at any time. So rush and take full advantage of it before it ends. And then of course we'll revert to the usual rates. We're talking about 10,000 shillings for an annual subscription and so on and so forth. So do not lose this opportunity under any circumstances. Right. What are we saying here today? Tumeongea mambo mingi sana, but what are we saying? What we are saying is that the position in Kenya today, the situation in Kenya today, is extremely shaky, and the future is highly unpredictable because of those factors I've mentioned and other factors I've not mentioned, but we're all very familiar with, because Kenyans are passing through very harsh economic times, and we know that harsh economic times are not good for the stability of any government, even a popularly elected government. And as we know, the one we have at the moment is not a popularly elected government. Now, as I sign off, I'm begging a few more minutes from you to look through at some content, super fascinating stuff that I'd like to draw your attention to, which follows immediately after. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.